Drum and bass was so much better back then. Yo, what's happening everyone? mEDIK here again with Beers and Beats, and I just want to talk about something that I see all the time. Now, if you are familiar with the channel, you would know that I like to collect and play old jungle and drum and bass records. These antiques back here. And part of collecting anything is doing research, and for me that's finding out about tracks and artists that I might not know about that I would be interested in. And to do this research, I utilize a lot of YouTube channels. Channels like DaveC Asian, and Eyewitness DMB, and Phantom Audio 83. Now, along with uploading a lot of amazing drum and bass and jungle tracks, there's something else they have in common, and that is this, and this, and this, and this one, and all of these. If you searched any of these channels and watched any of the old sets and the old tracks, you're barraged with the same comments. Drum and bass just isn't what it used to be, or drum and bass was better back then, or kids today don't know what real drum and bass is. But was drum and bass really better back then? Now, to answer that question, we need to look at the dictionary, and more specifically, the definition for nostalgia. Nostalgia is defined as a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy or personal associations. We're all nostalgic for something, whether it be music or video games or movies or whatever. There's something in all of us that gives us a feeling that remembers the good old days.
Well, let's talk about the good old days.
We've all heard our parents complain about the good old days, or back in my day, or when I was your age we had real music. And what your parents were experiencing was nostalgia. Nostalgia for a time when the music was the soundtrack of their lives, when they're discovering the world. Music plays a huge part of our lives, especially during the young formative years. And if you're raving during that time, then that's the music that's going to stick with you forever. And when you look at it that way, it's pretty easy to see why people get the rose-colored glasses of the music they grew up with, and even why they get so defensive about it. But still, does that make it better? So back to our original question. Was drum and bass better back then than it is now? I say no. Drum and bass is different than it was back then, but it's not worse, it's not better. It's just that, it's different. Drum and bass, and all music for that matter, changes with the times. It changes with all of the new producers and musicians that come in and take what's already happening and put their own spin on it, creating a whole new direction. While I prefer collecting all these old dust magnets back here, there's a lot of new stuff that I really enjoy too. Like, I've been really into the dubwise scene lately for the past few years. Artists like Jamie Bostron, Ed Solo and Decline, Benny Page, Chopstick Dubplate, they all make amazing music that calls back to the old days of jungle, but still keeps it fresh and new. Everything progresses and changes. People, culture, society, and the art that's created from all of those. If people didn't change, they would just become stagnant and boring. People just aren't wired to do the same thing over and over and over. And as much as I love collecting these old dust magnets here and playing them on stream and showing younger people what drum and bass was like back then, I would never tell them that these are better than what they're listening to. Because in the end, music is art and art is subjective. And if you tell someone that their subjective tastes on art aren't as good as yours, then that's a cunt move. And you shouldn't be a cunt.
Kevin, stop being a cunt.
Peace. Thanks for watching. This is just my opinion. Feel free to put yours in the comments down below. As always, do that YouTube like and subscribe thing. If you want to support the channel, you can check out our Patreon. You can check out our shirts and the merch page down below. And of course, a huge thanks to our patrons, Slurms and mEDIK.